които от гостите имат възможност, са добре дошли в него. Благодаря за вниманието. Колко минути оставаме? Колко минути спестихме?
Не спестихте нищо. Благодаря ви много.
Не е така.
Искам да представя на всички the representative of the office of the Attorney General, Mrs. Nikki Lasko. Давам думата на Българския университет, на Американския университет, Американския университет в България. Както вървим така Българския университет, нека да направим Българския университет в Съединените щати. Така че, професор Сайрус Вин.
I can walk over and get yours. A couple of the themes that have emerged today are flexibility and leadership and outcomes. And I think those are really important themes for Bulgaria, for any educational system. They also happen to play into our strengths. We're an extremely flexible organization, and our outcomes are extraordinarily high. Maybe I should change microphones. Our outcomes are about as high as they could be. Well, I suppose they can never be that high. But as measured by the Ministry of Education, our student outcomes are far and away the highest in Bulgaria. The chances of being unemployed if you graduate from the American University in Bulgaria are almost zero. We counted in the last 20 years, we have 4 majors in political science who don't have jobs. And the chief financial officer said, why don't we just hire them and make the number zero? The incomes that our students get are several times higher than the starting salaries that students from other universities get. And I think that's because of the way we teach. And I want to thank you, Mr. Minister, for endorsing a liberal arts education. And I want to tell a story. Every year we do a musical. This year we did Moulin Rouge. The first time that Moulin Rouge has ever been produced on the stage. It's a big movie, but it's never been produced on the stage. We don't have a music department, and we don't have a drama department, and we don't have a budget for the musical. We don't give it any money. So for the students to put on the production, they have to raise the money. The production not only played to 5 sold-out houses in Bulgaria-American, which you would kind of expect. It also played in Sofia, Velika Turnavo, Plovdiv, Burgas, and Varna, and it was sold out every time. Now this means that the people who are doing the singing and dancing are doing budgeting and finance and logistics. They're also entrepreneurs in that they have to choose the play, they have to choose the musical. In this case, they had to adapt a movie script to a stage performance. They had to do the choreography, and we don't have professionals who are doing this. I think that is extraordinary training for real life, because when you get a job, the job description never tells you exactly what you're going to do. You have to look around and you have to think about what's the problem, and you have to think about how to solve it. And I think that focus on outcomes is extraordinary. I think that's one of the things that we do, which is why I was at a reception for the Computer Science Club, and the founders of Telerec, which is one of the largest computer software engineering companies in Bulgaria. They employ about 3,500 people. One of the founders came up and put his arm around me and just said, I want to thank you for training people that we can hire. Usually I'm the one who's thanking people for hiring our students, but he was thanking me for letting him hire our students. Well, I, of course, thanked him for hiring them, and then we had a mutual admiration society. No, I thank you more, no, I love you more, and so forth. Telerec is founded by a group of our graduates. Now, as a company of that size, you would expect the founders to be in their 60s, because it's a large company. We don't have graduates who are in their 60s, because we're only 20 years old. We're approaching our 20th birthday. These guys are all in their late 30s to early 40s. And they founded that corporation. Jet Finance is another one, where one of our history majors graduated, looked around at Bulgaria 18, 19 years ago and said, there's no consumer finance in this country. We ought to create something where people want to buy a refrigerator, they can get a small loan for it and buy the refrigerator. Alvin Gurry sold Jet Finance several years ago for a lot of money and has become one of our major donors. We have historians who become financial whizzes. Telerak told us, we don't care what major your students have. We said, really? There's a computer software engineering company and you don't care what our majors are? No, we want people who can think. If you can think, we can teach you the computer science. If you can't think, and all you know is Fortran, you're dead, because you will know only one thing, and Fortran is really old now. Most of you don't get the joke because it's too old for you to know what it was. But if you know how to think, you can learn all the new skills that you'll know. Another thing that has come up in this conversation is the ability of kids to have the choice to go back. And one person was saying that we need to have special salaries to attract people from America to go back. And maybe that's true, but I think we also have to have opportunities for kids to learn about their own country or their other country, because their own country, if you grew up in Chicago, you're from Chicago. You may be a Bulgarian-American, but a lot of kids view themselves as first and foremost being from Chicago or wherever they're living. But we want them to have a choice to explore that other element of their life. And again, I'm going to sound like I'm self-promoting, which of course is what I am doing, but we're probably the best show in town for that. We recognize American high school diplomas, we teach in English, we have an international student body, and when you graduate, if you go back and spend 4 years in Bulgaria and you say, you know, I don't ever want to see another piece of pizza again, I've had enough of Lukanka and I went back to my Big Macs, of course you can go to Sophia and get that, but you'll have a choice, and with a degree from us, you have mobility. And a lot of our students graduate, and people say, well, you export most of your good graduates, they don't stay. Well, we do for a little while, because if you get an opportunity to do a PhD in economics at Yale, which one of our graduating seniors is doing this year, and she's getting a full scholarship, you're going to go to Yale, and then you're going to go someplace, and then you're going to come back. So there's a fairly large circle of employment that takes place with our graduates. It doesn't mean that we export them forever. It means that we provide a wonderful launching pad for them, and they go on to serve Bulgaria in a whole variety of ways. Now, if we want students to want to come back to Bulgaria, I think that gets us back to one of the themes of yesterday. And I'm going to give you a little something to do as well and tell you how to spend your budget as everyone else has. But if we want students to want to come back to Bulgaria, then we've got to, of course, teach them about Bulgaria. And I think the most effective way of teaching a foreign language and a foreign culture is immersion. I can learn, I've met a number of people who've learned English, they've never been in an English-speaking country, and they speak it in a very kind of peculiar way because they've only learned it through books. If I were dropped into the village of Oryatovica, I'm sure that I would learn Bulgarian very quickly, or I would get very hungry. I would simply have no choice. And part of my luxury is that I work with people who speak English beautifully, and I'm lazy, and I don't have to speak Bulgarian. And the waitresses in Bulgaria have learned how to, I can kind of point and they can kind of smile, and I have learned how to say, Moželi Bira. I even know how to say Moželi Bira Puno. So I can get a dark beer now, and all those important phrases. But I think, and I was just going to harp on this for a second, I think that summer camps are important because you give children an opportunity to come back, immerse themselves in a language and a culture, spend time there, and if they spend time there and it's a good experience, they're going to want to get more. And it's not going to be a matter of how do we force the little kid, how do we force our high school kids to go back to Bulgaria and to learn about the other half of their life. They're going to want to do this. Now, how do we create those opportunities? And this is where I have a suggestion for you, and that is to take the $2 million levy that you have to support Bulgarian education abroad and create scholarships for students who are living abroad, Bulgarians abroad, to come back to Bulgaria to spend the summer. Not just to AUBG, though I would be happy if you would spend Bulgarian universities. There's a lot of Bulgarian that's being taught to international students who come to Bulgaria to study physical therapy and music and so forth. And I think that would be an extraordinarily effective way to spend the Bulgarian levy in Bulgaria to provide opportunities for students to come back to Bulgaria as an incentive program, and for them to learn about where they're from, and to want more. And I think that if we can do that, we'll be doing a very good thing for expanding the global reach of Bulgaria, which one of the kind of funny things that I've heard is the kind of global imperialism of Bulgaria, that we are going to take over the world by sending Bulgarians into all corners. And then one final theme that I want to mention is we've talked about politics a lot. I don't really know whether the parliament is too big or too small, or whether you spend too much, whether 30 million leva on the parliament is too much or too little. And someone mentioned the School of Politics as a way of training politicians. And I just want to mention the School of Politics was founded by Dini Kanitsa, who also founded the American University in Cairo, and is on our board. And it's currently run by Julian Popov, who's also on our board. And so we have close ties with them. The School of Politics focuses on inputs. I don't think there's any institution yet that focuses on outputs. What does the government do? And does what the government do make a difference? And that's where public policy comes in, and public policy analysis. And that's where AUBG, once again, is we're having a preliminary discussion, and there will be a proposal coming to the Board of Trustees, probably in January, to put together a public policy program. And a number of people have come up to me and said, what are you going to look at? What public policies are you going to look at? And I said, I try to be vague in those things, because I don't really want to be boxed into a corner. And 9 times out of 10, they say, I don't really care what you do, but look at education, because we need educational reform in Bulgaria. And I think that's one of those areas where, as an American university in Bulgaria, we're a little bit different. You know, we're not part of the competition for the budget from the Ministry of Education for funding the universities, because our students pay tuition. So we can have a discussion about reform that doesn't involve us, because we're not part of the regular system. And I think that's where we can play a very interesting role in leading a discussion, or participating in a discussion, or facilitating a discussion on educational change, and looking at public policy. And so I do want to let you know that looking at what outcomes for the government are in terms of social policy is going to be something that we'll probably be doing. I think that's very exciting, and I think the more the American university can contribute to enhancing the sophistication of the discussion about what the right way to move in Bulgaria is, and giving more Bulgarians voices for doing that, the better off Bulgarians all over the world will be, whether you're sitting in Chicago, or whether you're sitting in Bulgaria-American, or in the Ministry of Education in Sofia. So that's what we're up to. Now I'll give my little short sales pitch as to why it's really good. It's really good for all of you, because not only are we doing really good stuff, but if your kids come to us, they will have extraordinary opportunities at a fraction of the cost. And I usually hate to even bring up the cost, except in America. That means 5 minutes. Well, then that's where I'll end. We're doing interesting stuff. I think there's a lot that we can do to cooperate with what all of you are doing in the room. And we will look forward to doing that. And thank you again. And if you would like to know more, you can talk to Dansha or me, or if you don't want to talk to us, we do happen to have tons of printed material, which Dansha will have to carry back in her suitcase if you don't take it home. So thank you.